Success is something you attract, not something you pursue. Success is looking for a good place to stay. So instead of going after it, you work on yourself. Personal development. Here's the big challenge of life. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. That's the challenge. And of course, the other side of the coin reads, unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you got. I have found in my experience that income does not far exceed personal development. Now, sometimes income takes a lucky jump, but sure enough, unless you grow out where it is, it'll usually come back where you are. Life has strange ways. If somebody hands you $1 million, best you become a millionaire quickly, so you get to keep the money. Otherwise, sure enough, it'll disappear. Somebody once said, if you took all the money in the world, divided it up equally among everybody, it would soon all be back in the same pockets. Incredible. Success is something you attract, not something you pursue. Success is looking for a good place to stay. So instead of going after it, you work on yourself. Personal development. See, the major question to ask on the job is not what are you getting? The major question to ask on the job is what are you becoming? See, the big question is not what am I getting paid here? The big question is what am I becoming here? Because true happiness is not contained in what you get. Happiness is contained in what you become. Of all the assignments Mr. Schoaf gave me at age 25, this was probably the most difficult. In fact, I'm still working on this one. I think it's an unending challenge to see what you can become. The next subject is called basic laws, and it's good to study the basics. And I call these basics primarily because they come from the Bible. Now, I'm not a theologian or a minister, and that'll be apparent. But Mr. Schoaf taught me that the Bible was a good textbook for ideas and stories and success equations, how to live the better life. I found out that was true. He also taught me that the Bible is as practical as it is spiritual, and I found out that's true. If you look at your bank account and your income and you're not happy, there's several places in the Bible to check to see what the heck's wrong so you can make the changes.
So this is so powerful in terms of becoming the right version self to change your life. And so that is what I'm going to really be talking about today. Drop some 222s in the chat if you are ready to become the right version of self to truly create life-changing money, right? It's not always being like, need to know more or do all these things. It's actually around the energetics and who we become to attract it to us. And so I'm going to talk about, if we think about it, you know, money being currencies, right? Think about it. Money is currency, right? We trade currency pairs. So there is a current that flows through money, to us, from us. And our biggest job is to become the middleman to this energetic state. How can we get it to flow to us and stay with us and compound upon us receiving it? This is an energetic state, and this is what you guys need to learn and understand. And then I'm also going to bring it back into charts. I'm going to show you exactly how you can see this inside of the charts and how you can understand how interlinked energy is inside of these markets and your success being dependent on this. Okay, I want to know, drop some 222s in the chat. If you're someone who finds it really easy to trade on a demo account, you can compound your money pretty quickly there isn't resistance, but you switch to your live and all of a sudden you're like, this is not working. How did I go from making all this money in my demo account? Now I hit my live account and there is a block. Like, what is going on here? Right? I see some dropping 222s. Okay. So I'm going to show you today how and why this is happening and how I'm actually going to get you to switch up your energy in both environments and how we can actually turn our demo accounts into our manifestation accounts. Okay. And if you're yet to even open a demo account, it's all good, right? This is about what's coming next for you and to get excited about what's happening. Okay. It doesn't matter where you are at in your journey. This applies to you. Okay. So if you think about it, and before I share my screen and actually show you a tangible, like, visual aspect of this, I want you to first of all understand that if we think about the ecosystem that we're in, if we think about trading as a whole, it's a very different environment and a mindset that needs to be had. If you think about your 9 to 5 or most other environments where you can make money, it's a forced environment if you think about it, right? You have a boss telling you, based upon your performance for the year, whether you should be being paid more money, right? So did you leave your baggage at the door? Have you turned up? Have you met your KPIs? Have you been a good team player? Have you made the business more money? Whatever your job involved, you had to turn up, be that certain version of yourself, whether you felt like it or not, because the amount of money you make was dependent on you being a certain version. Okay? But you had to prove it to somebody else for them to unlock money in your life. Okay? Let's think about that. Right? Drop some 222s if you agree with me. Okay? So if we think about that, inside of this ecosystem, there's nobody telling you whether or not you are worthy of earning more money, whether you've turned up to the charts, whether you've turned up to the mindset calls. Like, it's you against you. Do you understand this? So if you think about this, right, like, you have to be so fixated on knowing where you are going that you are the person who is just naturally going to make this happen for yourself. Your only job inside of these charts is to manage your emotions and know what comes next for you. Know what you're capable of. Trust the process. Know your worth. Build the resilience and grit. Build the version of self that can handle what comes next. Work on the money mindset to the point where you know that it is possible for you. Okay? And I'm going to show you right now why some of you are having blocks and how we can actually remove them. Okay? So really take in what I'm about to say, because I think a lot of you are going to have some light bulb moments. Okay? So let me just get out of here and jump into a chart. Okay, drop some 222s if you can see my charts. Okay, so what I really actually wanted to show you guys today is almost like a physical example of a chart. Okay, if we look at this one to the left as our demo account, and we look at the one to the right as our live account. Okay, think about it. When you place a trade in a demo account, we're just excited. We're like, boom, we know the skill. We get to just place the trades. Doesn't matter whether we win or we lose. We're still excited when we see the money, especially in a demo account, because it's usually a higher dollar value. So we're seeing money fluctuate on a $100,000 account, maybe versus our $100 normal live account. Okay. So it's exciting to see large sums of money. It's exciting to make thousands of dollars a day. And when we see a loss, we don't take it personally. Why? Because it's not our money. Right? Drop some 222s. If you've taken a loss inside of a demo account, and instead of feeling defeated and frustrated, you kind of think, it's okay, I can just get up and go again, because this money is free flowing, right? I don't put any limiting beliefs on myself because it's a demo environment. I know that this money isn't actually a loss that I've taken. This is just, doesn't matter. I can just get back up and remake that money. Okay? And if you do feel defeated either way, that's okay. I'm going to show you a little bit more about how we can navigate that. Okay, so what most people do though is when they switch from the demo into their live account, they don't realize that their subconscious beliefs about themselves and about money actually make the money to get harder and harder. And so what do I mean about this? Every time you take a loss and you tell yourself you're unworthy, you saw money was hard to make as a child, you think rich people are greedy, you think that you're not worthy, this is really hard, all these things, you are constantly increasing your risk. So making that one-to-one on your account so much harder to hit. In your demo account, it's a quick move, it's easy, the emotions aren't as heightened, it's free flowing, there's no pressures, you're just in easy manifestation mode. When you jump into your live account to make the same move, the more limiting beliefs and baggage and negative energy and pressure and like resistance and everything that we hold sitting underneath this makes making the money a mountain, makes it so much harder to get and receive and achieve, because this is constantly fluctuating based upon what we see inside of our physical 3D realities. I see a bill, boom, my scarcity kicks in. Someone tells me I'm not worthy, boom, I make myself believe that I'm not worthy of large sums of money. Boom, I see lack. Boom, I hear about recessions. I hear people talking about it. I see the scarcity. Can we see how this is constantly fluctuating inside of our live accounts because of what is happening inside of our physical 3D realities? So can we see how the money aspect becomes either really easy to achieve or really hard to achieve because of the resistance we put on the back end of it? Can we see how simple it is to create a larger amount of money when there is less resistance in achieving it, in creating it? But can we see how the opposite is also very true? It's very hard to hit any money, make any money inside of this ecosystem if this isn't right either. Okay, so what I'm going to sit and explain to you guys today is how can we stop being so afraid inside of this ecosystem, and how can we take our demo accounts and use it as a manifestation tool to project what is possible inside of our live accounts? How can we take this dollar value and manifest it into here and know the only difference between the two is time, and inside of that time our only job is to hold the expansion of what is possible, is to work on ourselves to become this version. Like Jim said, you get handed $1 million, you better become $1 million self, otherwise it's going to be gone. You see a demo account of $100,000, you want it to be that in your live account. You become the right version of self that can manage this so that this can stay and become easier to make and maintain. We work on this, the limiting beliefs, the expansion, the grit, the growing, the knowing, the becoming, so that this becomes very simple, easy, and free-flowing. The losses don't become personal. Okay, really, really sit in this with me for a moment. Okay. Also, do we have a plan for our money to grow? If we think about this, money being energetics, money being free flowing, okay, is it going to come to you and be stagnant and be afraid and have lack and scarcity vibes? Or is it going to come to you and have another outlet channel? It's going to come to you. You aren't afraid of it. You are in charge of it. You know how to grow it. You are confident around it. I know for a very big part of my life, I was scared of money. I didn't know how to handle it, how to grow it. And so no wonder why when it came in, it wanted to get out as quickly as it came in. Right? So we need to understand how can we flex the muscle of wealth in our everyday lives? How can we sit in the knowingness of the projection, of knowing that how grateful are we that our demo accounts are live markets? Imagine if they gave us fake money and fake markets. They gave you live markets with manifestation money to know you're capable. If you can do it in your manifestation account inside of live markets, why on earth can you not do it in your live account with the live markets? It's an energetic misalignment for that to be the case. Some of you are just playing around here, not taking this seriously, hitting your live account and being so ungrateful for the $5 you just made. Not understanding that that's actually 5% and 99.9999999% of the population can't even grow their money 5% in a year. Yet you've gone into this space and become ungrateful for it because you didn't take this and manifest it. You took this and then made your live account feel unworthy. When this was the ecosystem of projecting, you sat in the 100,000, you proved to yourself that it was possible that you could grow it. You got excited for it. And when you jumped into your live account and you made $5, you celebrated the heck out of it because you knew it was 5%. Can we see sometimes how the communication breakdown occurs? You jump from this ecosystem to this ecosystem. You jump from excitement, no resistance, into ungratefulness and resistance. Okay, so we need to understand the energetic shift, right? I need you to understand it. Like I said to you, for some of you, myself included, guilty, I put my hands up, and this is why I'm talking about it. Because I know when I first started trading, when I first started investing, when I first started compounding my money, right? I saw my $5 and I was not excited. Let's face it, even $50, I was like, $500 got me a little bit more excited. But at first, I wasn't grateful because I saw the large sums of money that I was making inside of my manifestation account, inside of my demo account. And so when I switched to my live account and I saw that $5, instead of being so damn excited and celebrating it and having a positive energy around it, I started repelling it. So if that is you, drop some 222s if you've experienced that or held some energetic states around it not being enough, of feeling ungrateful that, man, this $2 isn't going to change my life. This $5 isn't going to change my life. Even $50, like it's cool, but I saw myself making 5,000 on my demo account. Now $50 doesn't mean that much to me anymore. Okay. If you see this, this is how you're going to quickly snap out of that and project what comes next. If we think about it, 5% on $100 is $5. Most people can't make 5%. Let's celebrate that $5 because if you can't be grateful and excited for the small amount of money, you aren't going to get the large amounts of money. $5 doesn't excite you, you're never going to get the 5,000. You're never going to get the 50,000. It starts with a compound of the gratitude for the small to allow space for the bigger. So if that is what the block you're having, you sit down and you go, okay, let me reframe this. Let me get a new perspective on what I'm seeing here. Let's take that dollar value and work it out in a percentage gain. So on my $100 account, 5% is $5. Heck yes. But if I had $1,000 account, it would now be $50. If I had a $10,000 account, now it would be $500. If it was a $100,000 account, it would be a $5,000 move. And if it was $1 million account, it would be a $50,000 move. How powerful that my $5 profits has the potential to be $50,000. The only thing that changes is my equity. And the only way for my equity to change is to be grateful for the 5. Because it's a percentage gain. I made the move. I made that money. So I can do it again. And again and again and again and again and again. But if I dismiss the small, if I am not happy with what I can create on a small account, now I'm programming into my mind that $5 isn't much. I'm not happy with 5%. This isn't good enough. I start to try and over leverage. I try and make more money. I try and realize that that is the reason why. Then I hit the losing. Then this is how this starts to fluctuate. Okay. So reframe the dollar value into a percentage and put it across multiple account scenarios inside of your brain and celebrate it and be grateful for it and be excited for it and know, wow, this exact same move on a larger account would have created this. Heck yes. Okay. Also, think about this. Most places are not going to give you $100,000 to sit in the energetics of. Your boss isn't going to say to you, hey, here's $100,000. What could you do with it? Sit in seeing money fluctuate. Sit and experience it. Sit and visualize with it. Sit and calibrate at this to be your new norm. Right? Who had ever managed multiple 6 figures prior to this? Maybe there's a small amount of you that had, but most of us hadn't. And so if we think about our demo account, it's like a perfect environment for our subconscious reprogramming around money. It's a perfect environment for us to see, how do we sit with it? How do we feel around it? What emotions does it evoke? Right now, it becomes a beautiful manifestation tool of, what can I do with this? How blessed am I to have this opportunity to show myself, heck yes, Gemma, you are powerful, you are capable. Look what you are able to do inside of live markets with this manifestation money. You get to sit in an ecosystem where you see large sums of money fluctuate, and you get to recalibrate your nervous system to match it. At first, I took advantage of a demo account, thinking that it was just a play account. It didn't really matter. Okay, I used to take advantage of it and not truly see the power of it. And when I got to a deeper understanding of money, of energetics, of what was possible for myself, I realized, wow, I need to switch up what's happening here so that it can project into here. I build and gain the confidence inside of this ecosystem to know that the only difference between here and here is time and energy. Time for this money to compound to these numbers and holding the expansion between the two. Okay, you really, really need to understand this. And yes, I'm bringing this into trading because that is why you are here. But this representation is throughout your whole life. Every channel that money is flowing through, this is important to understand. Now, what I want you guys to do is write down for me, why do you want more money? Write it down. Why do you want more money? Tell me. Why? And you can write it in the chat or you can write it down. I want to know, why do you want more money? So if I think about myself, okay, I wanted more money at the beginning to go on a family holiday. Okay. I remember when I first came into trading, how crazy. My little hairdresser, scarcity girl came into the space being like, man, I could just have one family holiday a year. That would be huge. That would be amazing, right? And then I realized, if we think about it, everything that we want is tied to an emotion. Okay, so why did I want, if I take it one step deeper, why did I want that family holiday? I wanted it because the feeling it would give would be happiness to my children, release of stress for my husband, connection as a family, laughter, release Groundhog Day. So if we think about it, whatever you wrote down, I'm going to go through some of your responses now, but actually what you are seeking is either to get away from an existing feeling or to experience a new feeling. So I want you to write down whatever you wrote down, why you wrote that, what feeling having that is going to give you. Is it more laughter? Is it happiness? And I saw, if I scroll further up, I think the first comment was like, to get out of quit my toxic job. Okay, so if we think about it, why do you want to quit your toxic job? What feelings is it giving you? So maybe it's giving you like fear. It's making you feel unworthy. People don't see your worth. Maybe there's bullying. Maybe there's, I don't know what it is. It's like you're trying to get away from that feeling to get a new feeling. Okay, so if we think about it, it's like there's always an underlying feeling to why we want the money. Now, what we don't understand is most of the time when we are tying our emotion to an end result, we're actually putting almost a block in that end result. Okay, let me explain to you. So for me, when I first came in and I wanted that family holiday, it was to feel relax, right? It was to feel, get my husband out of his pressurized job. It was to feel happiness. It was to feel release. It was to feel freedom. It was to experience joy and no time pressures, right? But I only could tie those feelings when I was on holiday. But what I realized is I need to bring those feelings into my day-to-day life to truly manifest or actually get the money to get that holiday, right? Most people think it's only when I'm there can I experience that. So I tie all of my happiness, I tie everything to that external event happening to chase the feeling of what I'm going to get once I'm there. But if I bring those feelings, so whatever feelings you wrote to the end goal of why you're wanting your money, the more you can bring those feelings into your day-to-day life, the faster you will get the money to go and do those things. So for example, happiness, gratefulness, all that stuff. I had those feelings first. When I jumped on the beach though, my happiness did 10x. Okay, I was happy. I brought the happiness into my house, but when I was lying on that beach, I was 10 times happier. I had so much gratitude. I started building gratitude in my home and my day-to-day life. I incorporate it with my kids every single day now. We are so grateful now. But when we're lying on the beach, we are 10 times more grateful, right? It amplifies what we build and what we have inside of our day-to-day lives. So we're not attracting it, we have it here. But when we get the money to go and experience it, it gets to be magnified. But it's there as a baseline to begin with. We're not chasing it, we're attracting it by having it here to begin with. Okay? And so if we think about it, it's like anything that you've written, the 3D outcome of what you want the money for is to either escape or to feel a new emotion. And so if we cannot be trying to escape, but bring the new emotion into our lives of what we're trying to run away from or to get more of, if we can bring it as a baseline into our lives, now that's a beautiful, solid foundation of more of it to come in. Now we can be happy and grateful. We can be excited and we know what we're capable of. And we can become this beautiful currency of flow going boom. I'm so happy and grateful. I'm so ready. I'm so excited. And when I make enough money to book that holiday, I was so excited. I knew it. I visualized it. I smelt it. I experienced it. I sat in it. I knew exactly how much it was going to cost me. I had all those things already pre-planned. And in my day-to-day life, I was incorporating it so that there was no resistance to it. And when I actually made it there, it amplified what I had. Can we see how if we don't have it here first, how can you get it? How can what we have as our baseline just gets magnified with money? It gets magnified when we get to experience it in our physical 3D realities. But how can it be magnified if it doesn't exist in the first place? So if all you are seeing, thinking, and feeling is lack, scarcity, that risk continuing to grow, how will you ever get out of that space? If that's all you're seeing, focusing, and feeling, we are magnifying that to give us more of it. And the bigger that grows, trust me, I speak from experience. The more bills I had piling up, the more I wasn't even living paycheck to paycheck, the more stress my husband was bringing from his work environment that was so toxic and literally deteriorating his mental health, the more the bills grew, the more the pressure grew, the more that magnified it until that bubble burst and I didn't have an option. Don't let the bubble burst. Let's slowly start to minimize. Let's start to decide not to focus on what we can't control and control ourselves. Control our ecosystem, control what thoughts and feelings we hold here. Focus on what we want, where we are going, what we are capable of, what we are truly possible, what truly is possible for us to create. If we can sit in that, then what happens? The synchronicities and everything starts to unfold and change. And we don't know how, and we don't know when, and we don't know the exact steps on how it's going to happen, but we know we are so divinely guided that everything is happening exactly as it's meant to. And so this is really where I truly want you guys to understand the beautiful power in this ecosystem. I know it's so drastically changed my life. Like I said, when I first came into this ecosystem, my dreams were based upon my income as a hairdresser. Right? And when I jumped into this ecosystem, I was like, whoa. I was put in an ecosystem where there was no cat. There was nobody else telling me what to do, which at first I kind of felt like a fish out of water. I was like, what do I do? I can't breathe. What? Here, there, every. And the moment I actually just like get back in the water and relax. You're not supposed to be breathing air. You're supposed to be breathing water. Like stop flapping about up there and just regulate. Calm down. Okay. Get used to this environment. Work on yourself, become the right version self, enjoy the becoming, okay? Trust the process, become the right version self, right? I always say that. Think about even what Jim said at the beginning of this. Even if all the money was distributed equally, it would always come back to the same people because they are the right versions of themselves. They know their worth. They know what they're capable of. They understand how money works. They understand the energetics around it so they can manage it. Become that version self, okay? Understand your worth, understand the knowingness, trust it, and know that it starts to free flow in multiple areas through starting inside of this ecosystem, right? It got me to become the version of self that trusted myself enough to go, boom, heck yes. If I can make money here, I can put it into investing, I can grow it here, I can do this with it. It becomes a beautiful ripple effect. It starts to overflow in multiple areas of your life. You got to trust yourself and you got to manage it and you got to understand it here. And you got to also understand that the energetics we hold in the becoming matters, becomes the foundation of what comes next. And so when we think about this, right, I really want you to process this with me for a second, is think about the amount of money you're making today. Think about a goal that you've been able to achieve recently. Okay. And then let me know if when you first started making money, I don't care how old you were when you got your first job or you first started to make an income, to think about that version of self having what you have today. Was that like a crazy thing to you to go, whoa, imagine if myself back then knew what I was able to have today, right? You would have one of those mind blow emojis like, whoa, right? We calibrate to wealth really fast. You don't understand this. You hit a goal, you're like, heck yes. And then you're like, okay, I'm calibrated here. This is now my new norm, right? And then you're like, okay, what else can I do? It's almost like once you unlock what is possible, now it's like, ooh, okay, this is now right. It's like you don't want to go down in pay. You're always like, you calibrate to what your income is. Right? And so now you're like, okay, that's now my new norm. Now you're like, okay, next goal, next lifestyle unlocked, next possibilities, next generosity, next whatever that looks like. And so if we think about that in our lives, there's a financial thermostat that you have calibrated to. And so if you can't bump out of that, you need to normalize where you're going. You're not going there because it's foreign. It's unfamiliar. You're scared of it. You don't trust yourself in that ecosystem. And so can we see, even if we think about our demo accounts, how beautiful is it that we can sit inside of that ecosystem and see that amount of money and experience it and play with it and understand it and calibrate to it? So I ask you today, where are you at? And then not just knowing where you are at, but where is it that you are going? And then you become the version of self that calibrates there, that normalizes that sits in that energetics, that sits in that knowingness state, that can hold that expansion regardless of what you see inside of your physical 3D reality. I can't tell you how powerful. Some of you, this is going to go over your head today. But for some of you, it's going to stick and it's going to click and you're going to have a light bulb moment. Today, I was sitting and I was like, what am I going to talk about today? And I opened my book, The Miracle Power of Your Mind. And the first page, I had my little sticky note. Now, for those of you who have watched my manifestation board training, you know what that sticky note is. But in the pursuit of my goals, I had my sticky notes of my goals. And this is my financial goal sticky note. And it was on my laptop screen and it was all around my house. I used to write the numbers on my mirror so that in the morning when I woke up, I was like, heck yes, I see that number often. I accept it. I feel it. I know what I'm going to do with that money. I get it. I trust myself. It's a knowingness state. And when I opened up my book today, in the first page, I see this sticky note and I'm like, I created this. This was once a goal. Now it's my reality. When I wrote this down, when this version of self created this sticky note, she had no idea how it was ever going to happen. She had no idea how long it was going to take her. No idea. This was a crazy goal that she did not have the resources for, that she was like just delusional in creating, but she wrote it and she exposed herself to it and she saw that number every single day. And when she didn't believe it to be true, she saw it and she reminded herself it can be her truth. She sat in knowing the emotion it was going to create, and she believed that she was worthy of it. And even when it wasn't showing that her life was heading that way, she didn't shrink back to her salary or her income. She didn't shrink back to thinking, I'm just going to give up now and go back to doing here. She trusted herself. She knew she was divinely guided and she reminded herself of that truth. And so some of you need to remind yourself of your goals. You need to calibrate to it. You need to see it in front of you all the time so it's not foreign. You need to normalize it to the point where you can look at that number and it's just like, yes. Heck yes. You need to see it, think it, feel it, embody it. Because guess what happens when you normalize it? Now your body and your heart and everything is in alignment. And you're like, watch out, baby. Now your reticular activating system goes boom. The emotions are evoked. The belief is evoked. The determination is evoked. Now the action comes. And the action is going to be the right action because the belief is the foundation on what the action gets taken upon. Some of you have so much scarcity and disbelief in yourself, you're taking the wrong actions. The energetics, the currency, the current that we hold becomes the channel. So if it's constantly lack and scarcity and doubt, it's like now we're just attracting more of that. And I know that that's difficult because when you're in those moments, it's very hard to switch gears. Okay? It's like if you've ever driven a stick car, manual, it's like You're trying to change these gears and like, you gotta change them manually. You gotta switch gears. You gotta build the speed by changing what you're doing. Like Jim said at the beginning of this video, you can't do the same things and expect a different outcome. You can't bring your employee mindset into these charts. You can't bring your subconscious limiting beliefs around wealth creation, maybe that your parents passed down from generations to make you think that having money is greedy, that it's really hard to make, that it separates families. Whatever lies you've been told, you now are in an ecosystem, in an environment where you can change that. Through my help and my tools and my resources, you can start to reprogram your subconscious mind to build a beautiful, solid foundation for what you truly want in your life. And if you're open to accepting and receiving and implementing and taking different action steps, being vulnerable, maybe being uncomfortable, maybe pushing the boundaries of what you've been confined to, that's hard to do. I know. I've done it. I still do it to this very day. Okay? But the sooner you can flex that muscle, the sooner you can submerge yourself in this ecosystem, the sooner you can stop trying to flap like a fish out of water and get in the water, submerge yourself in the newness, submerge yourself in what is possible. Learn to calibrate at this. Release the resistance, trust the process, even when your physical 3D reality is not showing you what you want to see. You know that's delayed too. You understand how this all works. You're like, oh, I see this in my physical 3D reality. Okay, maybe 6 months ago I was feeling crappy. Okay, maybe a year ago I was talking negatively over my life. Okay, maybe a year ago I didn't believe in myself. So now it's showing up. It's delayed. I understand. But now I'm going to change what happens next year. I'm going to change what happens in the next 6 months by who I am today. The actions I take today determine what I see next month, next year. If I don't want to see more of this, it was created by the old version of me. I get to have a choice. I get to change what comes next based upon who I am today. So I better stop taking the same action steps that I was taking back then if I'm not happy with my life. I better stop believing what other people have fed over me if it's not bringing me prosperity in my life, joy and happiness. I get to make that choice. You get to make that choice. Make today matter. So whatever your money goal was that you wrote out today, why you want that money in the first place, the emotions and the feelings it's going to give you is what you need to flex. That's the muscle you need to bring more of in your day-to-day life. And the money goal, you need to write it out so you can see it, so you can normalize it, so it can be inside of your ecosystem in your day-to-day life. Because if you don't see it in front of you, if you don't normalize it, if you don't know what feelings it's going to give you, how can we create it? How can it ever become our physical 3D reality? How can we ever manifest it if we don't truly understand it? We need to become in alignment with it by being happy now, being grateful now, understanding what we're going to do with it, understanding our worth. Boom. Now we're now we've become the right version selves to attract it. Now it just becomes magnetic. Of course it comes in. But most people do the opposite. I'm only happy when it comes into my life. I'm only going to be, I need this for it to be happen. I need this. So we're constantly making this goal so far outside of ourselves because everything is attached to this external thing. Yet if we become it now, if we embody it now, if we see it now, if we understand it now, if we're operating from that frequency now we're just the version of self that can handle it. And then when we get it, what we already felt and experienced just gets to be magnified. Our happiness gets to 10x. When you get to give and tip and help others, you get to do it on a larger scale. So I was already doing it when I had no money. I was already helping and doing all these things on a smaller scale. And when the wealth came in, I could do it in a larger scale. Can we see how it just magnifies and amplifies it? But if you didn't have it on the micro scale, how can it happen at a larger scale? Okay. So every day, see the risk. How big is that risk? Are you growing it or are you minimizing it? Are you believing in yourself? Are you trusting? Are you tuning up? Are you flexing the muscle of what's possible? You're letting go of the resistance. You're trusting yourself. You're manifesting your understanding. You're applying this to all areas of your life. Then it starts to happen and you start to see it and it starts to compound and you're like, whoa, this is so powerful. When you start to not only think it and feel it, but you get to see it play out in your real life. And then it's almost like ping pong. I get to think and feel it. I get to have it. I get to think and feel it and experience. I get to see it in my physical life. And you just become this ping pong knowing, this is how I think and feel. This is when I create it. It gets to show up in my physical 3D reality. Then I go back to the next phase of creating the new version of me, thinking and feeling it, sitting in the energetics of it, normalizing it. Boom. Then it plays out in my physical 3D reality. And the more you see that transaction happen, the more it solidifies the confidence, the more you understand the power of this work, the more you start to really, truly embody. And then you start to realize, oh, that happened for this reason. Oh, everything always happens exactly as it's meant to. If I just trust, if I just release, if I just free flow, if I just get excited, if I just know, everything always works out for the better. Okay? So I hope today, now, after this call, you have a new understanding. You have a new manifestation portal at your fingertips. You have a new ecosystem of wealth creation, of belief creation. And you get to go and flex this new muscle. You get to increase your financial thermostat. You get to sit in the excitement of what is possible for you. And you truly get to see what you are capable of achieving. You get to see how this one little flicker gets to just blossom and grow. Okay? Don't underestimate the seed and the environment. Okay? You're here for a reason. Okay? This is a beautiful place to plant new seeds and watch how it's going to grow and expand and the fruits you're about to harvest and how you're about to take from multiple ecosystems and grow and truly, this is the beginning of your expansion process. Okay, this was the beginning of mine. So whether you've yet to even plant the seed, whether you've planted the seed, whether you've been watering it, whether you've picked a harvest and now you're waiting for your new crops to form, it doesn't matter where you are at. No, you are exactly where you're meant to be, and the only thing you need to do is work on this. Get the currency flowing to you. Make your current right. Get in flow with where it's going. Don't try and swim up against it. Jump in with it and free flow with it. Okay? Stop thinking about all the things that are going wrong. Well, no, that's pushing against the current. It's going to literally come in and go straight back out again. Okay? You can't fight water. Be in flow with it. Okay? Thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope a lot of you had light bulb moments, had a lot of like, whoa, I might have to watch this call again. I need to sit down. I need to decompress, right? What a beautiful weekend to do so. Happy Easter. Have an amazing time with all of your loved ones. Thank you for hanging out with me. Bye, everybody.